What's up,
happening,
guys?
everybody?
It's Fight Companion. Conor McGregor versus Cowboy is finally less than a week away, which means that people are starting to release breakdown videos. Now, most of these breakdown videos either think Cowboy doesn't have any shot at all and it's a squash match, or they're breaking down how Cowboy can beat Conor, but they're not taking into account how Cowboy actually fights.
Cowboy has been fighting, what, 35 fights? He's not gonna fight like TJ Dillashaw.
No.
He's not gonna fight like any other fighter except the existing fighter that he is today.
Our video is gonna show you what Cowboy can do to beat Conor using techniques that he already uses and with very slight strategic game plans. He's got a great chance at it. It's not out of the realm of possibility at all, and it's actually very likely for this to happen.
So what's his overarching game plan?
So his overarching game plan is that Cowboy has to target Conor's lead leg, regardless of if Conor is in the classic McGregor bladed stance or the new, more squared up stance that he has been showing recently. Conor is a great boxer. Conor is a much better puncher than Cowboy is. If they're operating at a punching distance, that's not gonna go well for Cowboy.
No.
But if the fight is taking place at longer range, at what I would call kicking range, Cowboy is the taller fighter. Cowboy's kicking range is much longer than McGregor's. It's actually longer than any fighter that McGregor's actually fought, except Diaz, but Diaz does not kick at all. Cowboy needs to stay on his bike for the first 2 rounds, keep Conor at distance, and just target the lead leg. Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit.
Yep.
Do the Condit game plan, right? Stay on your bike, target the lead leg, and use those lead leg kicks in order to set up actual fight-ending potential opportunities.
What Cowboy actually loves doing is he loves kicking into a takedown, right? So this is what he'll do. He'll do an outside leg kick, boom.
And the typical counter for this, especially if a fighter's starting to feel their leg hurts, is that they'll try to time it.
But this is when Cowboy, he does the outside leg kick, he goes down, and then he goes for the takedown.
So that's a double leg that Cowboy already likes to shoot. We've seen him shoot that, and McGregor, who especially if his lead leg is built up, is super likely to really try to throw a left, which we've seen Conor do in the past as well. Remember against Mendez, he was really hucking it. Once Cowboy gets Conor to the ground, he'll again have another advantage in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and just grappling in general. So this is one way Cowboy can actually like end and win the fight.
Another thing that we like seeing in the Alexander Hernandez fight is that sweet 2 that Steps takes the open engagement a nice straight 2, which he doesn't normally do.
Normally he punches more so out like this. So the 2 that you're throwing that you want him to show is more like.
So when he throws it straight on, it's covering up his chin, it's covering up a lot of his body, right? But when he normally throws it, it's always like this.
If you're Conor McGregor and you're throwing straight down the pipe and he's throwing wide, there's literally right there. It's not covering anything, but if you cover, there's much less surface area to actually hit. The other thing that Cowboy can do is with the inside leg kick. Classic setup. If a fighter's really starting to feel it, they're really starting to get concerned with the inside leg kick, Cowboy Cerrone can look down and kick high. Boom. Boom. And that's a fighter. That's another technique that Cowboy actually likes to institute. Since Conor is a southpaw, that high kick is more open because there's nothing really blocking it. It's an open channel. Now, there has been a new training video that just came out showing McGregor stand. He's still bladed for an MMA fighter, but he's not here. He's more about here.
Yep.
The thing is, this does play into Cowboy's hand for one specific technique that Cowboy likes to throw, which is the teeps. Front teep, everything. These are techniques that are great at keeping fighters at distance. So if Conor is here and trying to wade into boxing distance, Cowboy is able to teep him now. If he's more bladed, this is not how he fights. If he's more bladed, that's not something that he's able to do.
Yep.
And guys, there's more to that stance, so you better check out our other breakdowns. That's how Cowboy Cerrone can actually win the fight. These are things he's done before. These are things he's done before to win fights.
And he can do it again against Conor McGregor.
But there are certain things that Cowboy also likes to do that make him especially vulnerable against Conor McGregor. So this is what Cowboy has to do defensively or not do defensively so that he can't actually have these opportunities.
And one of his favorite things to do when Cowboy gets into pressure, he likes to square up and he likes to start going away like in the same direction that Colby Covington does, right? He squares up and then he circles out. And a lot of times Cowboy actually circles out onto the left hand of the southpaw.
On their power side.
Which is super, super bad.
So if we show how that would look, if we're back here, when Cowboy feels pressured, he brings his legs together, and then he boom. And he also doesn't do a good job getting far away.
Yeah.
Colby still was knocked out by Kamaru very similarly, but Colby does a good job of trying to get far away.
Yeah.
Cowboy will do this from 1 or 2 steps.
Yeah, and he's done this against Gaethje. He's done this against countless of people.
He did it even against Hernandez, even though he won.
Yeah.
Oh, and he did it against Till.
Yeah.
A lot.
Which is what ended him.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the other thing that he experienced when he was fighting against Till and against a lot of other fighters, this is another favorite defensive move that Cowboy likes to do, which is a huge no-no, especially now that we see the training videos of Conor, that he's drilling this specific shot for this defensive movement. Cowboy loves to bend at the waist.
Whenever somebody's throwing a 2, whenever someone's throwing a cross, whether they're orthodox, whether they're southpaw, his main defense is to do the bend down slip. The problem is when you're fighting a southpaw, number 1, even if they just feint it, you can still pick them off, and that's what Till did. He went 1, fake, 2. And what has Conor been drilling? Uppercuts. If he times Cowboy, fakes it, hits it, Cowboy's ducking into the uppercut, actually kind of similarly to how Korean Zombie knocked out Frankie Edgar a little bit.
Very similar.
Cowboy cannot be predictable with this pattern, especially when he's fighting, I would argue, the best striker at taking advantage and actively scouting what fighters like to do in fights. The way Conor McGregor knocks out Poirier was pretty much exactly similar to how this could go.
So, I mean, it's fine if Cowboy does this, but only when he's doing it offensively, not defensively.
Right. If he's doing it to shoot, that's different. That being said though, guys, let's go over it. Basically, Cowboy needs to stay on his bike for the first 2 rounds, really target that lead leg kick. He can't back up straight and square up when he's doing it. He's got to back up and take angles, not square up in even further than he already is. Once Conor starts to get hurt, he needs to take advantage of those setups to actually end the fight.
Yep.
And he needs to really turn over the 2 and keep it tight so that he's not punching outside Conor's great left. That being said though, guys, this is Fight Companion. We'll break down how Conor can win the fight, and we're gonna break down the new sparring footage because people have that all wrong.
And it's wild.
It's wild. So subscribe down below, notifications on. We will see you guys next time. So, bye. That's a sick way to end the video.